Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Tori Croft.
Good evening. Like it or not, cancer takes control of your life. Cancer first took some control from my life when I was a teenager and diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease lymphoma. There's no good time in life to be diagnosed with cancer, but to most teenagers, a bad haircut feels like the end of the world. So having cancer and losing all my hair at 17 was devastating. I was class president and, as such, obligated to give a speech for my graduation. Imagine being bald for that. Character-building stuff, I'm sure we'd all agree, but it would be best to be avoided. I wore a hat for most of my school days and a wig for special occasions. My graduation speech was a special occasion, but as I walked to the podium, someone came to give me a hug and almost took the wig away with them. My heart nearly stopped, but I got through it and was happy that my bout with cancer was over, or so I thought. On December 18th last year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and spent Christmas coming to terms with that knowledge with my family and friends. Unbeknownst to me, as I was reeling from my new and frightening circumstances, in the United States, the Federal Drug Administration had just approved cold cap therapy as a preventative hair loss treatment for persons undergoing chemotherapy. Cold cap therapy has actually been used in Europe for over 20 years. I'll leave you to think about why it took the FDA so long to approve it, but that could be a long sidebar story. So I'll just say, the fact is, I'm proof that it works. I learned about the Breast Cancer Foundation from the staff at Bliss Yoga, and they kindly referred me to the wonderful Jeanette Fitzgerald at the Breast Cancer Foundation. At our first meeting, along with a lot of other important and useful information, Jeanette told me about that FDA's recent approval of cold cap therapy to prevent hair loss during chemo. So, while I was recovering from my double mastectomy, I did a lot of research into cold cap therapy, and I found two very helpful organizations called the Rapunzel Project and Chemo Cold Caps, both based in the US. I took all the information that I had gathered to Jeanette to see if we could find a way to import the necessary equipment to apply that therapy to me here in Cayman. The Breast Cancer Foundation was interested to see if the therapy worked, and if it did, they hoped to be able to recommend and provide it to other people facing the same problem that I was about to face. I am usually a very private person, so it was important to me to go about my day-to-day life without having the whole world knowing about my personal battle. As I'd already learned, if you lose all your hair, you may as well be wearing a t-shirt that says, "I'm a chemo patient." It was also very important to me that I protect my 4-year-old daughter and 6-year-old son from worrying about their mommy more than they needed to. While they knew their mommy was sick, I didn't want them to have to be constantly reminded by me not having my hair. Jeanette made a proposal to the Breast Cancer Foundation board recommending that they import the necessary equipment and products to be able to offer cold cap therapy here in Grand Cayman. They agreed to purchase the cap equipment as well as the very important biometric freezer. The biometric freezer is crucial because it gets the caps to the required temperature of -30 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, the caps can effectively slow the flow of blood to the hair follicles, and as such, reduce the exposure of chemo drugs to your hair. It took about 4 weeks of hard work to arrange for the materials to arrive. My employer, Andrew Group Limited, provided the logistical support to arrange for freight forwarding and customs clearance. And the Cayman Islands government were courteous in granting duty-free status to the materials. My chemotherapy treatment was due to commence at the beginning of April, and so I approached Health City to ask if they would allow the use of the therapy at their hospital. Dr. Vinitha Benoy and Jennifer McCarthy graciously approved the use of the therapy at Health City and worked closely with me to integrate the equipment into the hospital. A treatment session consists of fitting and changing 18 caps, one every 25 minutes, precisely. The caps are changed before, during, and after the chemotherapy drugs are being administered. My amazing husband, Andy, and my good friend, Rochelle, were in charge of fitting the caps and timing those changes for those 8 hours. At least we were busy and had plenty of things to make the time pass quickly, but it was exhausting. The caps have to be manhandled into position to ensure that there's contact between the cold surface of the cap and the scalp. After getting your head shoved about and deal with being strapped into an ice cube, you then have to endure the worst kind of mudslide brain freeze for about 10 minutes. I was then probably the only person in Cayman sitting under a heated blanket to keep the rest of my body warm, but it was all worth it. I believe that cold cap therapy has been a very important part of my overall treatment for this, my second bout with cancer. The planning and execution of my plan to keep my hair through chemo became a secondary goal for me and a distraction so that I wasn't brooding about the disease itself. By keeping my hair, I took back some of that control that cancer had taken from my life. I strongly believe that a person's overall emotional and physical well-being plays a large part in how they manage a battle with a disease like cancer. The Breast Cancer Foundation's wellness program complements my belief and has been a huge part of my overall happiness and strength during my battle. In closing, I want to give a special thanks to Jeanette and the entire board of the Breast Cancer Foundation, my amazing husband, Andy, the doctors and staff of Health City, all local vendors and their staff who participate in the wellness program, as well as my friends, family, and all those others who have helped me with their kind words and generous actions. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely.